It goes alongside with the whole like big powerhouse galleries and stuff like that. Take it back to the early 1900s or something, where you had to like enter into the salons and that kind of thing, and your work had to be of a very specific formalist style to be able to even put your work into a salon, which is essentially just a big sale. Like it's just a big boot sale for art. Hello everyone, welcome to our little chat that we're going to be having today. Before we start, I'd just like to say thank you to Vibe and Creative Corner, as well as St John's Bread and Coffee for having us here today. So I guess I'll just start by introducing myself. My name is Maddie, I'm 22 years old, I'm originally from Essex, but I've been up here in Manchester for about 4 years now. And I'm joined with Natasha. Hi. Olivia and Stuart, and we're going to be talking generally about art today, as well as the whole idea of collectives and how they've been beneficial for the art world. So let's go around first initially and introduce yourselves. Natasha, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I'm Natasha, I'm 27 years old, I'm a painter, I run these art exhibitions with Maddie, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Olivia?
I'm Olivia, I'm 25 years old and I'm a painter as well. And I've been part of AFOS's last exhibition.
Cool. Hi, my name is Stuart. I'm 22, from Walton in Salford, but living in Manchester. Yeah, I got to represent. And yeah, I'm a painter, and that was at the last AFOS exhibition as well. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was good.
So probably wondering what the hell AFOS is. So AFOS stands for Art for Our Sakes, and it's something that Natasha and I put on together just under a year ago now. Our first exhibition was in October 2021, and we basically just wanted to put together art exhibitions which are accessible not just for the artists but for the people that are coming along as well. Because it just felt, we always said it's really important to us that the barriers that are surrounding the art world are brought down, because they are quite high up, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. It just like felt hard to kind of break into it, so we were like, let's just make our own space.
Yeah, just do it ourselves basically.
Yeah, I think we've made like a nurturing, fun space. So
yeah, and they've never been, I think one of the main things for us as well was putting them in random spaces too. Our first exhibition was at Pot Kettle Black in Angel Gardens, which is just another coffee shop just like this one. And it just meant that we weren't working with just plain white walls in a box room and stuff like that. So it just, exactly. Oh yeah, I mean, they're really difficult to get into. I mean, coffee houses and stuff like that love us. They love it. So
an art exhibition, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it just means that it can open up the doors to so many people that wouldn't normally want to do that kind of thing. Because art exhibitions, you hear it and you're just a bit like, gosh.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, I loved like when people from our work would come and they'd be like, oh, like I wouldn't normally go to an art exhibition. I'd be like, yes, this is so good. Like, that's such a great audience to get in, because it like art's for everyone. It's not just like white wall, like fancy pants stuff. It's
Yeah, exactly. So Olivia, you did politics at university. So how did you find yourself doing art?
Very good question. I studied politics at the University of Manchester for 3 years, obviously. And then when I finished, I felt like when I was at uni, I couldn't communicate what I wanted to as well through words as I could potentially, like through writing, through drawing or on a canvas and stuff. So I kind of just started like playing around with things at home. So this was about 2 years ago. And then, so I've just been working at home very hard quite a lot. And then obviously things like AFOS are really, really good, because if without things like this, then I don't really know if there would be a platform for artists like me, or again, Stuart as well, to kind of show work and like get involved, because like you were saying, the barriers can feel very like obstructive, and kind of like the availability doesn't really feel like it's there. So yeah, that's kind of how I have found myself doing art, and I hope to do more. So
do you feel like with having kind of a date to exhibit your work, it like motivates you to paint more and like feel like you've completed something like with kind of like this endpoint and audience.
Yeah, definitely. So there's like only so much like I guess motivation I'll get by being like in my own space by myself, and that is quite a lot. But then when there's like a date or like meeting you lot and then like other people through it, has been like a massive motivator to do more. And then it's like gives you the deadlines, which
definitely.
I think sometimes I probably need, or I'm just like, it needs to be perfect. Sometimes it's just like finishing it and like moving on.
Definitely. It's sometimes hard to end a painting, I think. So having that enforced deadline, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just like, no, I could just do this.
Yeah.
I could just do that.
Go back to it 500 times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The deadline gives you like, no, I have to stop here. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think the community side of like art collectives though is really important. The peer kind of like group aspect of it. So you're like sharing ideas, like sharing feedback with each other. Like I guess we're all on like Instagram communicating a little bit here and there. So it gives you those networks where from like being like self-taught, whatever you want to call it, they're not there really unless things like this exist. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And we're talking about this as well, like from the other side of like you coming into an art community and like from like, maybe not the as creative side, like how have you found?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I've always said this. Everyone's always asked me at the exhibition, so where's your work? It's like, no, I can't do this. This isn't my area of expertise. It's meant that being able to like build Art for Our Sakes or AFOS from the ground up has given me the creative sort of freedom and the creative like license to still be able to build something and create something without actually having to draw or paint or take photos or anything like that. So it's amazing. It's like, it's just sort of curating like a whole company now, which has just been incredible. So yeah, Stuart, let's go to you.
So, well, we're starting with what I did at university.
Well, yeah, you did business, didn't you?
Yeah. I was going to say, at least politics has got some sort of social end to it. Business, on the other hand. Yeah, so I did business at uni and then went straight into a job working for, I'm so sorry, a finance company based out of the US, doing remote work. It was environmental, societal governance focused, but only externally. Internally, I'll bait them out. Honestly, it's a terrible company on the inside. Promise you. Yeah, I'll say it. And that's kind of why I quit, to be honest with you. So it was during the time when I started to realise that it was a bit sketchy. That I don't know why, but I just started to paint. I was volunteering for a creative community in Bolton called Creatives Now, run by an old teacher of mine. Mainly working with young people, so like 12 to 18 years old, getting them all together, giving them the resources as well to paint, because there's one of the barriers that we're talking about, the fact that it's expensive to be an artist, in many capacities. Yeah, especially if you're looking, oils, any sort of installation stuff, massive cost. Yeah, so trust me, and then the lifestyle, that's a different thing. But so we were helping out with that, and then just started to paint, which I'd never done before. I did art A-level, but that was more digital kind of work. And then it was actually the Pot Kettle Black one was my first one. I went with a friend. I'd had no idea what to expect from it. I actually went, Jasper, we all know one of them. So I went because I was going to see his work. But my goodness, like what an exhibition! Seriously, like credit to you both. Like it was incredible, and I think that for me is the big part of why I really enjoyed creating art, because when you're working in your own little world, you've got certain ideas, but it's sort of all stuff from the past that you've sort of like collated in the back of your mind, and then you're trying to put it on a canvas and explore it, taking it to an exhibition though, and then having people go, no, this makes me think about this, and it's like, I didn't even think about this. It's brilliant that you. So I think the community of the artists and the audience as well, the people that are coming and filtering through, I just think the access is fascinating. Yeah. So
that's kind of what we wanted as well. It's so nice to have in those sort of environments, in those settings, you have that integration of artist and visitor or whatever. Like, I remember the very first one, I did put some old work in. I was standing next to someone and they're like, oh, who's that? whose is that? And I was like, oh, it's actually mine, sort of thing. Like, you could be stood right next to the artist and you have no idea.
Exactly, yeah.
So it doesn't put them up on a pedestal or anything like that. It's just about them. And then it sort of makes people realise that, oh, I could do that. Like, exactly. So it doesn't need to be like this whole separate thing. We're not like celebrity or anything like that. They're just people that put some stuff on a piece of paper.
And it's like anyone can have those conversations about art. It's just like you just to be a tiny bit curious. Like it could be something as simple as like, oh, I love the colours of that, and then that would open like a dialogue about so much more than like the colour yellow, and like it's amazing. It just really opens these conversations. So yeah, it's amazing that you've had that experience.
No, I appreciate it. And just to big you up a little bit more as well, I actually hadn't painted properly until that first exhibition. It was when I got the piece from Jasper that I was like, oh, come on now. Why am I kidding myself? You know, quit the job, start painting. That's all I need to do, you know? So yeah, it was, yeah. Well, this is all credit to you. Yeah.
That's really heartwarming. That's amazing. That's exactly what we want, isn't it? Yeah. Oh. Why did you tell us this on camera?
No, I'm sorry.
No, that's amazing. That is really, really good. Yeah.
It's just, it feels like a really nice thing that's happening in Manchester now. Like I feel like when I came, I feel like I had it in London, but it was different, and you know, we made our own community, but I didn't have it when I moved to Manchester. But I feel really like, especially in the last couple of months, that we've just made it ourselves. And like there's obviously so many people have this experience with their own little collectives and communities here, but I hadn't found it. So it's just beautiful to meet other artists and like people interested in art and people that want to do curation and things like that. It's just like dream come true, because painting can be really art can be isolating, and I think everyone has that tendency to like squirrel away. So no, it's amazing.
It's a stereotype though. It's the lonely artist stereotype. And it's like, we've made like a really nice, like, well, you two have obviously like started AFOS, and then I'm involved in another collective, and it's like you build it yourself and you make it, so it's really good.
It doesn't have to be lonely.
No, exactly.
It shouldn't be.
I mean, speaking of history, like, do you guys find that yourselves that you've been sort of inspired in like a more traditional sense by like previous artists? I mean, Stuart, you just spoke about how our first exhibition inspired you, which is incredible. But Olivia, with obviously you finding it hard to express yourself politically to like and stuff like that through words, did you find your work being quite politically charged at the start, or did you find it sort of the opposite? You just go in the complete opposite direction?
It's a good question. I think like in a lot of ways, probably, I think there's like, the work that I started to make at the beginning was very similar to like the theory was similar to what I was studying at university. So it's like sort of like theories of like everyday embodiment, experience, like human interactions in like everyday spaces, and how they are like, how the space like influences them, and then how that, I guess, shapes your life. And then the paintings I was doing, probably in the AFOS show, they kind of like reflect that a bit. So the thinking's all still there, but I guess it's probably like more theory in my head than like looking at so much like other people's work and stuff. But I think the more research I'm doing, it's still leading me back more towards like a theoretical side. So like what I'm looking at the moment is kind of like, I was speaking to Stuart about this earlier, like and I studied this at uni as well, like breaking down like temporalities of like past, present, future, and like looking at time and space through those lenses. That's kind of like very linked to my degree. So I think it's like, it's still coming through. But yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of like looking at other artists, I want to be better at going to like more events and like looking at what other people are doing and stuff. But then it's also like, I think in Manchester there's like a certain amount, and then you have like the galleries and stuff. So this is why AFOS is
great. Yeah, totally.
I think that's one thing that I really appreciate about sort of contemporary art. I think it sort of takes back to like my favourite, as like a bit of an art history nerd, like my favourite sort of period was always like the Impressionists and the Expressionists and stuff like that, because it wasn't just depicting a moment in history or depicting, it wasn't realist or anything like that. And I think that's what is so important about art at the moment, is that it's explorative, and it's, as you say, it's going by theory and that kind of thing, rather than just something so like practical, which I think is really important, and something that's a lot more accepted at the moment than it would have been way back when or whatever.
I completely agree.
I mean, where would you say your inspirations come from, Natasha?
I mean, it's hard. Like, I've got a lot of favourite artists, like, I don't know, Georgia O'Keeffe or Barbara Hepworth, and people like that, and love Impressionism. But I think it just comes down for me, like, really exploring, like, my mind, and kind of, like, it all came from this, like, way of working came from, like, having a lot of anxiety. And yeah, just trying to, like, calm the mind down, and yeah.
Well, you can see that in your work. It's also tranquil, and you can tell that it's sort of been cathartic for you as you've been doing it, which I think is really amazing. Really
It kind of just calms me down, painting.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
How about you, Stuart? Do you have any particular themes in your work, or is it just sort of just anything that
Well, I
comes to
think
your mind?
certainly, like, it's a calming experience to begin with. For me, like, a lot of the work that I'm sort of exploring now is part of a wider series where I just don't know enough about the history of Manchester. And I find it fascinating that we focused on, like, you know, the Industrial Revolution. Like, even the suffragettes was like the next big thing is just, you know, a statue in St. Peter's Square. And, like, apart from that, we're always just, you know, the bee. We love the bee, though. And I find it infuriating that they're the motifs that we rely upon. So for me, like, I felt like an idiot because I was complaining about all this, and then someone was asking me, like, well, what do you like about Manchester history? And I was like, well, I don't know. So for me, I'm using it as a bit of an opportunity to do my own research. So, you know, very much like that theory-based approach to it, without having the technical skills in a way, and then just using it to archive those moments. So then, you know, the pieces I exhibited, one of them was to do with the American Civil War and how there was a protest in Manchester because they said, like, you know, we're not going to use any of the slave-grown cotton at this point. Now, that's great from you know, reading it on a Wikipedia article and then, like, seeing what's going on, but I don't know how true that is. So, you know, one of you might come in and be like, that's a load of nonsense. Like, actually, they kept on going and then stuff like that. So I think I like them as, you know, archiving moments of history, as well as opportunities for conversation about the history of Manchester, because everyone's a proud northerner here, you know what I mean? And I think the multicultural aspects of it as well, of, like, what makes northernness, I find it really, really interesting. And yeah, same as you, like, it's
like
difficult
playing around with ideas, though.
Exactly, yeah. Just trying to sort of, like, a bit of a collage in a way of all the different influences that I've got, you know, whether it's a certain artist or a period. Yeah, and then you know, certainly the Carmen aspect as well is, you know, top tier.
It's like, I feel like definitely I can relate to that. Like, you're exploring the city, but you're exploring yourself as well. And,
yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel the same. Like, every painting I do, it's like I'm digging a bit deeper into, like, my brain and, like, how I work and how I react with the world around me. So it's interesting to look at that from, like, the city point of view as well, because there are obviously these spaces that we make up, like, externally, but it's like you're doing this internal kind of exploration as well with your painting. So that's really interesting.
No, I appreciate that. And I think it relates quite a lot to what you said then. You know, you're talking about, like, people and spaces.
Yeah.
I think, like, it's really fascinating to explore those in both ways, you know, like, inside and the unexpected sort of stuff that comes out of it is always really interesting.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And, like, even the spaces that we've created with the exhibitions, like, we're all looking at each other's art, and we're kind of entangling ourselves with each other as well. So I think it's interesting to think, okay, maybe in a few months' time, I might have seen something, like, subconsciously in one of your paintings, and it might come out, and, like, that's, we're, like, making this web of creativity.
Yeah. In conclusion, thank you, AFOS, once again. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, it's great. That's why interaction's so important. Like, with our surroundings and each other, like, so much goes into it.
Yeah, I mean, we're all social beings, aren't we? And despite the whole isolated artist thing, like, being able to interact and meet and sort of grow from all these other artists that you're meeting is so important. I mean, one thing that I wanted to ask, I was curious can you ever see, well, I was thinking about it when I was, like, thinking about this today. I was like, do you think you could ever imagine like, the contemporary art world going back to being like all these, like, massive powerhouses like the National Portrait Gallery and Tate Britain and stuff like that, where they'll have occasional, like, new and exciting exhibitions, but otherwise everything else is just a permanent collection, isn't it? And I just can't see the way that in, like, our little small bubble that we've created here, I can't see it ever going back or ever developing to be like that again. I just don't think the way that the art world or, like, the artwork that's being put out there in the moment suits that.
No, 100%. It's like, I feel like when you see all these super old paintings, they're just kind of like relics of the past almost.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's so interesting to think, like, where it's going to go with galleries. Are they going to stay, like, quite stuffy? I mean, obviously there's really exciting exhibitions that go on and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't know. I also can't imagine it being like that in the big gold
Yeah.
frames and so. Yeah,
I mean,
don't know.
I've been to the National Portrait Gallery countless times, and I just like go back and I'm like, it's the same. Like, I know you can see like your favorite painting. Like, ever. I mean, I went to the Courtauld and I saw a Manet painting, which I'm just absolutely obsessed with, and my mum's the same. And like, we went and we were stood there for like a good 10, 15 minutes, and we're like, oh my God, this is incredible, but I can't see it happening again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think we need that sort of ever-changing style of like exhibitions and production of artwork to be able to keep it sustainable or sustained.
100%. I think it almost reflects like our society as well. Like it is very fast-paced, and like with like the digital realm and what's going on with like NFT art and all of that, it's like keeping up with that as well. But it's like I think having these physical spaces is important, and you can be just as like dynamic as kind of the internet spaces. But I don't think it will ever be the same again. And
no, exactly.
If it was, you'd just be trying to like recreate something that's already been.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be like super present in what's going on now. So I don't think it will be.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
who knows?
You never know, do you? You never know how interested the next generation is going to be in art and how far back their interest goes. I mean, mine sort of taps out around 1800s, early 1800s, but my mum's can go back to 1600s. My mum's not 200 years old, but you know.
It's like looking at like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but like the first kind of like artworks, like cave paintings and stuff, I was looking at that. Like I think that like naive art of like, okay, like we had no paper, pencils or anything, but people were making art on cave walls is like amazing.
Do you know, I found out something really, it's sort of going off topic, but I found out something really interesting about cave art a couple of years ago. So, you know, when you look at it, it's got loads of like dots and stuff like that. It's basically because if you imagine doing this on your eyes, and you know you get dots like that for ages, it's because it's so dark in there. That's the dots that they're seeing in their eyes. It's mental, isn't it? Yeah. It's really cool, isn't it? I think I found that out at like a uni open day like a couple of years ago now. But sorry, very off topic. But yeah, so as like Olivia, you've been involved in your own collective, haven't you, alongside Natasha as well. So how do you find that it's helped, or you can see it from a different sort of perspective with being involved in one like yourself? So how do you find it's helped other artists, and how has it helped yourself?
Well, going back to what you were saying about like the art world being different, or I think it kind of links to like there's now like loads of different ones. I think they're like little local ones. There's like many art worlds, and you can kind of like you were doing with AFOS, you're making the space how you want it to be, and like people are like making these mini little art worlds full of collectives. They're like local, they're small, and they're just like, I don't know, it's In the Flesh has been great, shout out. If I didn't get approached by Jazz Sykes, I don't think I would be like doing this now. So in a way that's like someone reaching out on Instagram, and then suddenly like there's 4 of you sat around a table, like, how are we gonna do this, what are we gonna do? And then you're like putting this exhibition on, and it's like really exciting because there's like loads of people there coming to like look at everything, and it's like, it was very like community focused. I think I know that's what you two have said that you're really keen on doing, and I think that's the same for us. We were like, we want to like make it very welcoming. People feel like it's their space, whereas not like a really intimidating, grand, like powerful institution where you're like, I don't know if I can say something about this. Exactly. So I think it not only is it good for like artists who are like trying to like get out, show work, get up and out there. It's also good for like people who are like viewing it as well, because it's accessible in many ways. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. It definitely does. I mean, Stuart, do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I think the access is the biggest part about all this. Like, as you're all speaking then, I was just thinking about like the National Gallery, the Portrait Gallery, and like, I guess quite a lot of the big institutions in London. I mean, even like the Whitworth. I mean, looking at the past few years of how those galleries have changed. Yeah, of course you've got the permanent fixtures, but a lot of it is like thinking back to the past, and their history is like, you know, essentially like colonial enterprises, really. Like, you know, I mean, you look in the Whitworth and all the plaques that they've got up now saying like, you know, we're trying to challenge like the way that we got these fabrics from India, and like And I think, you know, the Whitworth is a great gallery for the way that it's sort of evolving. It's quite interesting actually, like how that's all changing. But I think taking that to a local side, I find it quite beautiful really, because then, you know, once again, you've got more access into it. And you do have that freedom to explore art in the way that you see fit. And you're not even like, I don't know, I think from an outsider perspective, as you say, you can challenge those assumptions that the institutions, like, maybe it's a bit trickier to do that. Like, I mean, you see them all doing it now, and I think it's just interesting, like, yeah, maybe that isn't the way that things evolve. Maybe does become a bit more like, for lack of a better word, like folk, in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, just a bit more locally organised, a bit more. It
Less
just comes from a better place.
elitist.
Exactly. Yeah. That is the word. That's it right there. Less elitist.
Yeah, that's the art. I feel like the art world kind of is or has been that. I mean, it still is definitely. You know, I've encountered people that have said, you know, you should have a certain education to understand art, and like I've always disagreed. I've been like, what? That's crazy. Like, anyone should be able to talk about art and have those conversations. It shouldn't be that, but some people are really firm in that belief and think you've got to like knock it down as much as you can. That's why like DIY kind of community spirit is so important. It's like, no, nothing should be like that, and like that's why we've got this problem in society, I think, of like these like horrible.
It's just so old-fashioned, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it goes alongside with the whole like big powerhouse galleries and stuff like that. Take it back to, oh, I'm gonna get my dates wrong, like the early 1900s or something, where you had to like enter into the salons and that kind of thing, and your work had to be of a very specific formalist style to match certain like criteria and that kind of thing, to be able to even put your work into a salon, which is essentially just a big sale. Like, it's just a big boot sale for art. So yeah, it's just mad. So I think also like one thing that we've definitely started doing at the start is like no sort of charges, no anything like that for the artists, because realistically they're just in the same boat as us. I mean, we're still doing AFOS out of our own pocket at the moment. Like, so yeah, it just seems mental, just absolutely mental that is. It's not even that long ago, is it? It only seems, I don't know if it's just because now we're involved in it that we are noticing how much it's changing and how different it is, but like it is ridiculous to think that it isn't even that long ago. But
I wonder what that world, I can't even imagine what that world would have been like. Yeah,
no, exactly.
Like,
I mean, even like the YBAs or something in like the early 2000s, like the Young British Artists, they were still like a very small collective or small group of artists that just so happened to be taken under the wing of what's his name, Saatchi man. Yeah, so no, it is just a bit crazy. It really
and like
is.
women artists as well. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I live in this time period
exactly,
than any other.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what would we be allowed to do then versus now? It's it's absolutely crazy.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? It's like it was just all like old boys clubs.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
literally
It's like,
boys club.
Yeah, and that's like as far as access goes as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how conducive that is to progressing art in a way either. You know what I mean? Like as far as how organic it is, and how representative. That's what I mean. How
Yes.
representative
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Like you're just representing an elitist set of society.
Exactly.
Like, you know, this is the world we see.
Yeah, it's
You know?
patriarchal world, this is
Yeah,
our
yeah.
world. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is how we see it. So yeah, it's really nice that that's changing.
Yeah.
And everyone can speak.
Shifting the boundaries.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to ask, like, I just really liked our conversation earlier about how we all work, like the process of working. So just if you want to speak about that.
Go ahead. I need to think.
How do you? Like, what's
Right,
your process? Like, how do you physically get your work
I'm going to
done?
be completely honest, as I was earlier. I think I'm chaos. And I think my family, friends, and partner would all agree with me.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. Organized chaos or pure
chaos. So basically, as you all know, like fitting my practice in around like a full-time job, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, sometimes not those hours, but I would like you previously did, I have a sketchbook with me all the time. I'll like go to painting after work, I'll paint in the evenings, paint at the weekends. My mind is like flicking around with things all the time. So like I will be at work and then I'll be like, oh, great idea. Back to
like
work.
kind of writing things down like as they come out of your
Like
brain.
day,
and,
just like notes and little things day by day. But then like I'm probably gonna try and change because I do just like go to a painting, come back, go, come back, go, come back, and it's just chaotic. So I think I'm gonna take a leaf out of your book and like store my information for a few weeks and then like sit down
sit
and
on it a
like
bit. Do you
get
like
it out for a week or so or whatever.
Yeah.
But
do you like sketch your paintings before you? Because what medium do you use
kinda.
mostly?
Well, at the moment I'm using like when I'm painting I'm using acrylic, but I'm like practicing oil, so I'm gonna move to oils I think, or like use a bit of both. I don't know, but drawing like pencils, oil, pastel. But yeah, I kind of sometimes sketch them out, but then I just find that doesn't really work so much. It's usually there's like collage idea kind of thing like that. But yeah, I could probably do with a bit more like structure around it, but I think fitting it in around my full-time job is just a bit of a nightmare because then it's like there's no like set time for the day.
It'd be really nice.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
I'd love to see your sketchbooks there. I feel like for the next AFOS you should display your sketchbooks.
Just like that's my sketchbook.
Yeah, I think we need
start
more,
doing that.
we need more of that. Like I feel like it's so nice to get like it's literally like glimpsing into someone's brain.
Yeah.
Seeing their sketchbook and like it's like a little time capsule almost and like a diary. So but it's quite like exposing, but I feel like we should really encourage people to
be
show
vulnerable
more
like that.
Yeah, it is vulnerability
definitely.
rather than just like a finished thing.
Here's
like
my perfect painting.
like
exactly.
Here's my mess.
yeah, let's see like the workings of it more. I think that'd be super interesting.
That would also be great as well for accessibility because then you see like all of the like kind of
thought
stuff that is
process,
like
the craziness that goes behind.
How have they got here? Like
or
what's
something
gone
that
on?
looks just like I don't know, it doesn't look like a finished painting, but I think that part is like just as important as
Absolutely.
like seeing those parts of how you get there, the journey to it. So,
It's definitely vulnerable. I like some of my sketchbooks, especially now. Like they used to be a lot neater, but like it's kind of reversed. Like now my paintings are neater, but my sketchbooks are absolute messes. Like sometimes I'm looking through them like, what the actual heck is going on here? So I'd be almost like exposed and like nervous to show them, but I think it's just good to just do it and be like, this like one line then turned into this like painting. It's weird though, like how your brain works
how you
with
process it. What's your working style like?
I don't. I mean, at the moment, I feel like I'm really messy in a sketchbook, and I don't really sketchbook as much as I used to. But I kind of sit down and like save things up that have been going on, like in just life. I just try and live life and gather kind of inspiration, and then sit down and paint. Like I was speaking earlier about I'm going back to Norway, so got this place where I go and stay. It's like an island in the Arctic, and they run art residencies. So I'm going to like caretake, but I'll have a lot of free time. So I've been like saving up a lot. I've been like working a lot. So I've saved up all these little bits, and I'll sit down in solitude and just make paintings, and it will all kind of come out. But yeah, it's like going to be interesting to think where did that come from, and then trace it back to maybe like 3 weeks ago when I was with like 120 kids, like teaching them all, like running bloody bingo nights or whatever it was, blind date stuff. See like where did that inspiration come from? Like, maybe it was a sunset I saw on that particular night that like made me feel something. Yeah, and then intertwining that in a place of solitude. So it's just it's like periods of like rest and then productivity, I think.
Yeah. Sounds wise.
I wasn't like that though before.
Stuart, are you kind of like Jasper? Do you churn work out like a factory?
I'd say like I'm still sort of in the honeymoon period. Like I mean, I only really started painting. What is it now? August, like 4 months ago.
That's
crazy.
So but I think like this, it was just like. I just needed to. Do you know what I mean? I needed to get it out of my system. Yeah, I'm a bit of a factory at the moment.
I just find it mental. Like Jasper will literally be like, okay, our next exhibition's a month later. He's like, right, I've got 5 new pieces. They're all A0. And it's like, how have you done that?
He's like turbo mode always.
It's mental, isn't it? It's crazy.
But I think that's the thing though. When this is, we were saying before about. I think there really are times to be manic.
Yeah,
and there are times when you do just want to sit in it and reflect.
100%,
and like, I don't know. I think it really depends. Like the pieces I'm working on at the moment, I have no idea what size they are. I just went to Fred Alderson. I was like, I just want the biggest
Biggest
canvas
one.
times 2. But like for me,
as you can.
I think like for me, it's like unless I don't know. I really respect both of your work because it's all very consistent within the frame. Like it's not disjointed. It's all very intertwined. It's all very consistent. Like as far as the colours go, the theme, like the style. I can't do that. For me, I much prefer like a triptych, and that's usually the style that I work in. So then then you can, for me, like you can read the piece, and I'm also a bit more because I haven't found my style yet, nowhere near. So I can play around with different things, and then. Well, I guess maybe this is the thing. We're still in the same boat, but it's I say you two have found it more than I have, but this is the thing. So then you can just sort of explore and then read it in different ways. Then I can read it as well. And actually, just thinking about it, like, do you two find your work as like a bit of a diary in a way? Do you ever look back at the work and you're like, oh, I remember exactly where I was at this point?
It makes me feel weird. It's almost like smelling like an old like perfume or like listening to a, do you know when you like listen to a
memory
song
song
on
type
repeat?
thing.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll go back to a sketchbook page with like a bit of like a sweet wrapper or something, and I'm like, like that's so dramatic.
That was a
Like,
tough time.
Yeah, literally like a pencil line that I've done in like a random like trip, and it just freaks me out. Like so many paintings like have. That's why I think that's why my style's developed. Like have a lot in one painting that like kind of tells a story, because I'm adding all of those bits in, whereas before it was maybe like little bits here and there that you'd have to piece together, and I like having it all in one. But do you feel the same? It's like a diary almost, or?
I guess it's like kind of painting is just like you're exploring ideas or like having a conversation with yourself and other people and the people that are going to look at it. So it is like a diary, but it's just sort of like internal archive, just like bleh.
It's like the epitome of word vomit.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a nice way of putting it.
I think with the sketchbook thing like that, be interesting as well, because it's like the finished painting is like what you want to show others and what you're like ready to share, but like the sketchbook maybe isn't.
Well, no, exactly. It's a good theme for an exhibition, isn't it? Just to, I mean, I've been to exhibitions where they've had sketchbooks and stuff like that involved, as well as the final pieces, and I've always been way more interested in what the sketchbook is showing.
But a lot of the time, even then, they're under a glass cabinet
and they're on one page.
So it's like I've actually done an exhibition where I've done that, and I stuck 2 pages together because I was like, don't want anyone to. It wasn't even anything. I just was like, and I was like, don't want them to. And I remember like taping the edge. So I think that's really interesting as well. Like, what do we want to show?
That would be a really good idea. Like a diary themed A4.
Yeah, definitely.
Because then it's like you call it like Dear Diary, and then like you know like. I guess like it would show like, and you're not allowed to like put in like a finished painting.
I like unfinished paintings as well.
Unfinished work.
Yeah.
So do you get commission on all the ticket sales for this next one?
I'll give you a cut.
Amazing. Yeah, because I bet I'd love an exhibition with like famous artists' unfinished paintings. Like sometimes when you do see them in exhibitions, they're sometimes the most interesting ones. It's like, why did they stop? Why didn't they finish it? Did they not like it? Like it's literally like a little time capsule of like.
I just destroy mine when I don't like them.
Really?
I pull them off the canvas and then flip the canvas over and paint again. And then if I don't like that, I just put it away.
That's amazing though.
Fair play. Yeah.
We were talking earlier about like burning, with, like it's the new Damien Hirst, isn't it?
Yeah, so Damien Hirst has got this new sort of way of selling his work, because he's got all these like massive pieces, but he's selling them as NFTs as well as physical pieces of work. And if the NFT sells, for example, then he's burning the art copy.
Crazy.
Sort of
Quite interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
very
imagine
Hirst
burning,
thing.
like imagine burning like we were talking about this. Like I follow an artist on Instagram who does that as well, and she just. Juliet, I can't remember her last name. She like just does these amazing, detailed, crazy paintings that she spends like thousands of hours on, and then just burns it all.
That is
it's beautiful.
amazing.
Like the videos are like seeing it just like.
I want to watch that. That sounds.
Yeah, I'll send you. Them.
I've not actually burnt one, but I like tie them up and like roll the canvas up and like
throw it away.
To be fair, it's always quite cathartic doing that. I remember whenever I was writing essays and I wrote something down that I really didn't like, you'd like rip it out the notepad and be like, no.
dramatic.
The very unnecessary, sort of like a teenage drama film, and it's like,
put it into the fire.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So As artists or as sort of like collective owners or whatever, where do you sort of see it all going? What's like the ideal for you? Tash, do you want to start? Or
Oh, I just want my own studio. Like,
Yeah.
by the sea, I just want to be like uninterrupted for like hours on end and just paint and keep going with AFOS and like expand that, keep the community going and just be able to. I mean, the goal's not even to like go in any established art gallery. It's just
no,
like,
we're really bad businesswomen.
Yeah.
It's not our cup of tea at all.
Yeah, but there's like the Sound Gallery and Sound One Gallery
Yeah.
and Northern Quarter that's just opened like these new kind of like startup galleries. Like get in there. Like I've got a show there in January. So
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah,
So
I'll be
we're
there.
working for that and just start like just be really authentic and keep painting. Don't get
Don't
distracted.
stop. Yeah.
Don't succumb to anything else and just keep living this life to make it work at some point. Yeah. I mean, it works already. It's fun. I just like
Yeah,
as
but
long
you
as I
know-
can paint. I'm
Yeah,
happy.
exactly.
Yeah. But to do that full time would be incredible.
Yeah, it's always the dream, isn't it? I always say one day I'll be able to do it full time. One
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it'll be worth it. It really will. Really
definitely. But
will. How about you guys?
Yeah, the same really. Just I was gonna leave Manchester. I was gonna leave Manchester because I've been here 6 years, and then like this year everything's kind of like kicked off a bit.
Yeah,
So now
everything
I'm
seems to
staying.
really be happening this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gonna stay? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
that's
gonna
good.
say. Well, I'm
Yay.
moving to Yorkshire, Hebden Bridge.
Oh right.
The-
Oh,
okay.
cute.
The
Oh, that's what I was
artsy
really.
place, yeah.
The bridge is amazing.
But yeah, I don't know. Keep doing. Obviously, the dream is have a studio,
Yeah.
be full time. But
bridge.
I guess right now I'm like keep networking, keep like growing community, and then like the more people you meet, I find like the more opportunities you get.
Yeah, definitely.
So just being like proactive and like sharing and learning and all of those nice things.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. I think that's
Beautiful.
the best way for things to happen, really.
Yeah. It's all very wholesome, isn't it?
Very wholesome.
It's very wholesome.
You're very
yeah.
Yorkshire.
Yeah. Very
You'll get
Hebden
such a
Bridge.
good like community in Hebden Bridge as well because
Yeah.
it's so creative.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's I just love it.
Yeah.
We have to
could
visit.
come visit.
Yeah.
Spare room.
AFOS in Hebden Bridge.
AFOS, yes.
Oh my god, that would be
so
amazing.
good.
I call Yorkshire International as well, so you could say that AFOS is going
amazing.
international. Yeah,
Definitely love Yorkshire.
yeah, it is a beautiful
Yeah.
place. Not as good as Lancashire, but it's
Oh
alright.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, of course.
I just agree with both of you. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's it's for the kind of like flexibility and independence that comes from a studio. Like just a space drowned in light that you can just sit in for hours and hours and hours. Just not even painting, just like sitting in it. Yeah, it's why I think the mills in Manchester are just. I mean, if not inaccessible and being completely destroyed by Capital and Century, but still beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Like,
totally,
and
yeah.
then what you're saying about the community. I think both of those are so important, and that's a combination of the two. I want to try and start curating spaces where I can start, helping as well. Like, I'm only like 4 months into my journey, but I think that being able to support artists as well I'm going, like you both are, like, I think that is exactly what it's about. And then also just so that you can build a community. So, maybe you need something, maybe you need something, maybe you need something, maybe I need something.
Exactly.
We can all just come to one another and just be like, you got this, you got that, you have connections. Like, that's the way to do it, I think. And then it
Definitely.
feels more like a family as opposed to like an institution where you exhibit a work, you're isolated in that exhibition, and then that's that. If it doesn't fit the theme, then you're not getting in. Like,
You're in and you're out.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just a number, like,
Yeah.
which is mad, really, when you think about it, because that's exactly the antithesis of what all this is supposed to be about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Like, and just, I think like the both of you just wanting to make your own spaces as well. That's like this energy is just so good because it'll just keep like we're just gonna all expand together and just
Yeah.
make amazing connections. It's really beautiful.
I'll start crying now.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really sweet. Yeah.
It's the confidence it gives you as well, I think. Because especially with like Instagram, you can look on like your phone and be like, that painting is amazing. I could never do that. But then like when you see like things on the wall, like in AFOS and stuff, you're like, oh, there's a mark there and there's a mistake there and there's a this there, and then that's what makes it.
Yeah. And there's room for everyone as well. Like there's not just one artist or one singer or one musician. Like that's the amazing thing about the world we live in and how connected we are now. Like there's space for everyone, and that's why things like Instagram can be great because you can see that okay, you might not have loads of followers, but the followers you do have are interested in what you're doing, and it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lovely note to end it on,
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah, I mean, just I think that all we can say now is that we just need to keep going with it, keep the momentum going, and we just know, and we know we have the passion and the love behind us to be able to keep it going and keep it growing as well.
What's
Yeah.
next? What's next for AFOS?
What's next?
What we're gonna
Oh
do next?
yeah, who
More
knows?
social
Not
things.
yeah. That's one
wanna
thing
do
that
more
we're really
social.
interested in doing. Yeah, we're gonna get everyone together and like just like
Nice.
go out for food and like get to know each other all a bit better. Because like I know for a fact when I'm at AFOS, I'll talk to you for like 10 minutes and be like, oh, I need to go do this. Oh, I need to go do that. Blah blah blah. So it'd be nice to actually get together and like do something as like a proper community. So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll send you an invite soon.
Yeah. Well, huge thanks to both of you as well
Yeah,
for
thanks
like
so
everything you've done to get to this point. Like,
Absolute pleasure.
yeah, all
Thank
this
you
is
for
so
being-
well deserved. Like, if they should be highlighting anyone, it should be.
Oh,
You know
thank
what I mean?
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Lenny as well for the space.
Yeah, cheers,
Yeah,
Lenny,
yeah. St. John's Bread and Coffee House and Lenny, the absolute legends. Yeah. Big thanks to everyone.
Really, cheers.
Everyone.
Cheers, Maddie.
Thanks, guys.